Hey everybody, welcome back. James here again with you, and today I'm going to show you how I triple zero and mount my optics on my rifles, whether it's PCP, break barrel, centerfire, rimfire, doesn't matter. Whatever optic you're mounting, you always want to make sure it's centered to the bore and to the actual receiver itself. You know, just double check and make sure everything's starting from zero, from scratch at the beginning, and then put it on paper, and that's what we're going to do today. So let me show you what I'm doing here, show you the setup. So just to go over real quick of my setup, this is the new Diana Storm Rider Gen 2 that I have yet to put an optic on, and that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. You can see the scope that I've chosen. This is the Pinty 3-9x40, one of my favorites. Got some dovetail rings, got my little miniature bubble level, and my Allen key. That's pretty much it. Now, at the other end of the kitchen, I do have a plumb line to get the reticle centered, which I'll show you guys that later. But first off, I want to get the scope mounts on the receiver itself, make sure everything's leveled, and then get the scope tightened down. And let me show you the end here. So this is the setup that I have here. This is with the moderator off, and I have a bore sighter kit in here, and I have it screwed in and tight as much as possible. And with that, on the end here, I have this flashlight mount. Now, what this does is gives me a level and reference point to center of the bore, so I can actually zero off the receiver here and see if I have barrel droop down here. So let's get into it, guys. Okay, starting off, I just want to make sure that we have a level surface here, make sure that the receiver is leveled. It's pretty good. Make sure this is in there straight. As long as the bubble's in the center, we're good. Alright, you can see that. And now I'm going to get the rings set on here and get the mounting started. As you see there, this one has the actual locking pin on it to keep it from skidding down the rail. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in one of these set screws that holds the barrel in. Now, another thing you want to double check and make sure before you get all finished up and everything, before you tighten everything down, is you want to check out scope clearance. So in this setup here, this Diana Storm Rider has a magazine. So if it doesn't clear the scope, you did all that work for nothing. So just finger tightened everything. The scope fits. Barely. There is barely enough clearance under here, but it doesn't cause any issues. And you'll see that. I'll take a picture. Now, I know this scope has a lot of eye clearance, so before doing any extra tightening or putting the tops on, I'm just going to double check and make sure it's perfect for me. That's pretty good. It's got shorter scopes like this have a longer eye relief, about 3 inches on this scope if I remember correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and get the tops on. I'm not going to tighten them down yet. Just get a few threads started. Okay, I'm going to make sure that my rings are pretty centered on the rail, the bottom halves anyway, and I'm going to get those set. Tighten those equally. And that one takes a special bit for some reason. It's nice having a nut driver set with the different bits. now those are tightened down. I'm going to go ahead and double check my level. My level is still leveled in here, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it up on top here, and you can see it's not aligned, and that's matching what the receiver is leveled at the top here. Put it back down here just to double check my reference points. That's good. Now I'm going to get these started, do it crosswise so each of them are equal. Now before I really crank it all the way down, I got that set. I'm going to look through the scope here and make sure that it matches the plumb line on the wall. You can see that the plumb line is pretty level with the reticle. Okay, now that we're at the end, before I get it on paper, I'm going to get the scope bore-sighted and show you whether or not, before that I'm going to show you whether or not this barrel has barrel droop. Now with the actual level zeroed on the receiver and the scope, again, scope is zeroed also, reticle is centered. Now we're going to check the barrel, and again what I have is a flashlight or barrel adapter, Picatinny adapter to show this. Now this is where I'm going to measure the vertical angle of the turret. So now I'm going to have to lift this up and get this adjusted vertically at 0. So now that the scope is vertically 0 off the turret, again centered to the receiver, you can see that there is slight barrel droop. Very slight. So we have to take that in consideration before we get it on paper. I'm going to go ahead and get it bore sighted about 20 feet. So now that I have the laser on, it's a little low and to the right. I'm going to go ahead and adjust. I have the scope on the lowest setting, 3 power. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to get it right under the crosshair at about 15-20 feet and move it to the left and we should be good on paper at about 25 yards, and that's where I'm going to start. Alright, now it's time to get it on paper. 25 yards from a bore sight. I'm using the H&N Barracuda match. Broke it in with these pellets, and this thing puts these Barracuda matches out of the muzzle over 30 foot-pounds chronographed, and that's insane. So I figured, why not see how they get on paper at 25 yards from a bore-sighted scope. Let's see it, guys. I'm going to take about 5 shots and see what happens and adjust from there, because that's my own ritual. I always try to get everything grouped up as best as possible, and then I start moving my reticle. Alright, well, I am back inside now, and as you can see, first shots here are over to the right and a little low, just a hair low, and I'm going to adjust that out. But I'm also going to try different pellets and everything just to see how they turn out and if they get the same results, about the same spot on target. And as you can see, there's a little bit of vertical stringing, and the first shot was on me, because if you don't know, the Gen 2 Storm Rider actually has a true two-stage trigger, which I did not believe it was that true before I even have had the rifle. But it is so crisp and clean break. You hit that second wall and then you pull it. Didn't really catch it when I was breaking it in because I was just going ahead and squeezing them off. I didn't look through a scope or anything, wasn't taking time. But this is what happens. So when you hit that second wall and get it centered up as much as possible. Again, that first one was on me, but I think we have a little bit of that, again, barrel droop issue. Not that big of an issue. I can still hit what I was pretty much aiming at, but depends on how precise you want to get, guys. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this setup helped you out to show you what I use and help you in the future setting up a scope like this. A little warm out there today, but again, you always want to check your zeros, check your reference points, get the best possible zero and measurements at first, because then you'll see what happens downrange. So again, everybody, I hope you liked the video, and if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.